Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by hills that never echoed sound, there stood a village called Noctra. It was known for one strange thing. The night never came there. The sky above Noctra remained a dull gray, even when the rest of the world slept under stars. No moon ever rose, no constellations ever appeared. Children in the village grew up never seeing a single star. They didn't know what they were missing, except for one boy. His name was Evan. Unlike the others, Evan often climbed the tallest hill at the edge of the village and stared at the empty sky. "Why is it always like this?" he would ask. The elders always gave the same answer: "Because this is how it has always been." But Evan never believed that. He felt something was missing, something important, something stolen. At the far end of Noctra stood a tall, crooked tower made of black stone. Its windows were narrow, like closed eyes, and its door had never been opened in anyone's memory. The villagers avoided it. They called it the Clockmaker's Tower. "Never go near it," the elders warned. "It belongs to the one who took the night." That only made Evan more curious. One evening, though evening looked no different from morning, Evan made a decision. "I'm going to find out the truth," he whispered. He walked through silent streets, past shuttered homes, toward the towering structure. The closer he got, the colder the air became. The door of the tower slowly creaked open on its own. Evan froze. Then, gathering all his courage, he stepped inside. The inside of the tower was nothing like the outside. It was vast, impossibly vast. Gears turned slowly in the walls. Clocks hung everywhere, large, small, broken, glowing, ticking in different rhythms. Some ticked forward, some ticked backward, some didn't tick at all. The air smelled of dust and forgotten hours. Evan walked deeper. Tick, tick, tick. Then, a voice. "You are not supposed to be here." Evan turned sharply. Standing in the shadows was a tall figure wrapped in a cloak stitched with tiny, moving clock hands. His face was pale, eyes glowing faintly like dying embers. "I am the Clockmaker," he said. Evan swallowed hard. You stole the night, didn't you?" The Clockmaker tilted his head. "I did not steal it," he said quietly. "I preserved it." Evan frowned. "What does that even mean?" The Clockmaker stepped forward, revealing a massive glass chamber behind him. Inside it, the sky. Not just a sky, the entire night sky, filled with stars, swirling galaxies, and a glowing moon, all trapped inside the glass. Evan's breath caught. You took it from the world." The Clockmaker's voice softened. "I saved it from being forgotten." Evan stepped closer to the glass, eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Yes," said the Clockmaker. "And dangerous." Evan turned. "Dangerous? how can the night be dangerous?" The clockmaker's expression darkened. "Because the last time the night existed in Noctra, people made a wish they were never meant to make." The clocks around them began ticking louder. Tick, tick, tick. "What wish?" Evan asked. The clockmaker looked at him, deeply, carefully. "A wish to stop time." Silence fell. Evan felt a chill run through him. "And you stopped the night because of that?" "No," the clockmaker whispered. "I stopped the night because the wish came true." The gears slowed, the clocks trembled, and inside the glass chamber, one star flickered, as if it were trying to escape. Darien followed the silver-footed elk across the moonlit plains, its hooves leaving trails of shimmering dust that hovered in the air like frozen fireflies. Each step pulled him deeper into lands no map had ever dared to show. But something was wrong. The farther he went, the quieter the world became. No crickets, no wind, no rustling leaves, just silence. Heavy, solid, unnatural. At last, the elk stopped at the edge of a vast canyon. Its walls were carved with ancient marks resembling tears etched into stone. A low hum vibrated through the earth, soft but sorrowful. "This is as far as I may go," the elk said, its voice like the faint chime of silver bells. "Lyria's voice is trapped there." Darien's heart thumped sharply. Before he could ask anything else, the canyon floor cracked, gently at first, then widening like a mouth opening to speak. A soft glow rose from within, swirling upward like mist. From the glowing mist emerged a figure, a young woman with wings made of mirror shards. Each shard reflected a different sky: sunrise, sunset, thunderstorm, rainbow, starless night. Her eyes were deep silver, swirling like two galaxies trapped in human form. She hovered lightly above the canyon's edge, observing Darien as if reading the pages of his heart. "Traveler," she said, her voice echoing twice, once in the air, once in Darien's bones. "Why do you walk with fear in your shadow?" "I'm looking for Lyria. Her voice was taken. I must find her." The mirror-winged girl tilted her head. "So the silent curse has reached your world." She drifted closer, her mirrored feathers slicing the moonlight into ribbons that danced across Darien's skin. "You may call me Selphira, guardian of lost voices." Darien took a slow breath. "Can you lead me to her voice?" Selphira studied him deeply. "I can show you the path, but I must warn you, those who enter the kingdom of broken echoes do not always return with the same heart they carried in." "I'm not afraid," I said, though his hands trembled. Selphira's expression softened as if she admired his determination. "Very well." She extended her hand. "Step into the canyon, Darien of the Flame Singer clan, and keep your memories close. Voices feed on forgotten moments there." Darien grasped her hand. The moment their palms touched, the canyon rumbled, splitting open with a brilliant surge of silver light. The ground vanished beneath them. They fell, together. into the kingdom of broken echoes, where every whisper had a shadow, and every shadow remembered. Darian and Sapphira plunged through the silver light, falling without falling, as though gravity itself had forgotten them. When the glow finally faded, they landed gently on a floor made of polished obsidian. It stretched endlessly in every direction, perfectly smooth, perfectly still, except for one thing. Every step echoed, but not the echo of their own footsteps. Sometimes it was Lyria's laugh. Sometimes it was her frightened gasp. Sometimes it was a whisper of Darian's own name. The echoes weren't repeating sound, they were repeating memories. Sapphira's mirror wings fluttered, scattering reflections onto the dark floor. "Stay close," she warned. "This place rearranges itself based on your fears." Darian swallowed. "So it's alive?" "Not alive," she said softly. "Wounded." They walked forward, and soon a massive door rose from the ground, forming itself out of thin air. It was enormous, twice Darian's height, and forged from 1,000 broken bells melted into one sheet of shimmering metal. Etched across it were words that pulsed faintly. Darian felt a tremor crawl up his spine. "My sister is in there," he whispered. "Her voices," Sapphira corrected, "but she is still waiting for you beyond these chambers." She placed her hand against the door. It vibrated, releasing a deep, mournful tone, as if the metal itself were sighing. The door creaked open. The room beyond was vast and hollow, lit by floating lanterns that burned with pale blue flame. Suspended in the air were thousands of glowing orbs, each one swirling with color, each one humming softly. Darian froze. What are these?" "Voices," Sapphira said. "Every orb is a stolen voice, trapped by the silent curse. Each contains a person's memories, emotions, and truth." Darian's breath caught in his throat. Then he saw it. Hanging slightly higher than the rest, glowing gold, trembling gently, crying softly with a sound only a brother could recognize. Lyria's voice. "Lyria!" Darian whispered, stepping forward. But the moment he moved, the lantern flames flickered violently. The orbs trembled. The floor cracked. Sapphira snapped her wings wide. "Stop! Something's awakening!" A deep, rumbling groan rose from beneath the chamber, shaking the obsidian beneath their feet. Darian's heart hammered. "What is that?" "The curse's guardian," Sapphira hissed. "The creature that feeds on stolen voices." The floor split open. Blue flames shot upward. A massive shape crawled out, long, serpentine, made of black mist and shattered masks. Dozens of the masks turned toward them, each one with a different expression: sadness, anger, fear, hollow laughter. The creature hissed, but no sound came from it. Its silence was louder than a scream. Sapphira stepped in front of Darian. "Run when I say," she whispered. "And when you reach Lyria's voice, listen to it. It will tell you what to do." Darian clenched his fists. I won't leave you to fight that thing alone." "You must," she said fiercely. "Only you can take back her voice." The silent warden lunged. Masks shattered, lanterns spun wildly. The golden orb trembled in terror. Sylphira lifted her hands, and her mirror wings flared, catching the blue flames, bending them, forcing the creature back for a moment. "Go, Darian!" He sprinted across the chamber, dodging falling shards of broken masks, heart pounding like a war drum. The silent warden's shadow chased him. Lyria's orb pulsed brighter. Closer, closer, closer. And just as he reached out, the orb whispered his name. "Darian, don't let go." Then everything exploded with light. The moment Evan touched the glass, the world shattered, not into pieces, but into moments. He was no longer in the tower. He was everywhere. Evan stood in the middle of Noctra, but it wasn't the Noctra he knew. Everything had stopped. A bird hung mid-air, wings frozen. A child stood laughing, soundless, unmoving. A drop of water hovered inches above the ground, refusing to fall. Even the wind was trapped. Evan's breath shook. This is the wish," he whispered. The Clockmaker's voice echoed behind him. "Yes." Evan turned. The Clockmaker stood there, but not as before. His cloak of ticking hands had slowed. His eyes no longer burned. They flickered, tired. "They wished for a moment that would never end," he said quietly. "A moment where no one would lose anything. No one would grow old. No one would say goodbye." Evan looked around at the frozen world. "But this isn't living," he said. "It's being stuck." The Clockmaker nodded. "And yet they begged for it." Evan clenched his fists. "So you stole the night?" The Clockmaker shook his head slowly. "No, I removed it." He stepped forward, his voice heavy with regret. "Night is when change happens. Stars move, time flows, dreams grow, memories fade, and new ones begin." He looked at Evan. If night returned, time would move again. Evan's heart pounded. And they would grow old? Yes. And they could lose each other? Yes. And they could die? The Clockmaker closed his eyes. Yes. Silence filled the frozen world. Evan looked at the still faces of the villagers. They looked peaceful, but empty, like paintings that forgot how to breathe. The glass sky above them flickered. Inside it, the trapped stars shimmered, trying to break free. "You touched the night," the Clockmaker said softly. "That means the choice is no longer mine." Evan turned sharply. "What choice?" The Clockmaker raised his hand. "If you release the night, time will return, life will return, but so will loss, pain, and endings." The stars pulsed brighter. If you keep it sealed, this moment will last forever. No one will suffer. No one will leave. Evan's chest tightened. Two choices. One safe, but empty. One real, but painful. Evan walked slowly through the frozen village. He saw a mother reaching for her child, a friend mid-laugh, a man looking at the sky that never changed. He imagined them like this forever, never growing, never changing, never truly living. He shook his head. No. He turned back. This isn't life. The clockmaker watched him closely. Evan took a deep breath. Life isn't about staying in one perfect moment. It's about moving, even if it hurts. The stars in the sky began to glow. Evan stepped forward. Even if people cry, even if they lose things, even if time takes things away, his voice grew stronger. That's what makes every moment matter. Evan raised his hand toward the frozen sky. The stars responded. The moon trembled. I choose the night, he said. The clockmaker's eyes widened slightly. Then, crack. A single fracture spread across the sky. Then another. Then 1,000. The glass holding the night began to shatter. Light burst through. Stars spilled like rivers of fire across the sky. The moon broke free, and time started moving again. The frozen world gasped back to life. The bird completed its flight. The child laughed, this time with sound. The drop of water fell and splashed against the ground. Wind rushed through Noktra for the first time in ages, and above, for the very first time, the villagers saw the night sky. People stepped outside slowly, confused, amazed, afraid. What is that? Those lights? The sky, it's alive. Evan stood among them, looking up. Stars filled the heavens, endless, beautiful, alive. Some villagers began to cry, not from fear, but from something they had never felt before. Wonder. Evan turned back toward the tower. The clockmaker stood at its doorway, but now he was fading. The ticking had stopped. You chose well, he said softly. Evan stepped closer. What happens to you? The clockmaker smiled faintly. I was only needed while time was broken. His form flickered like a dying flame. Now the world no longer needs someone to hold it still. Evan's throat tightened. Will you disappear? The clockmaker nodded. But that is not a sad ending. It is a complete one. He looked up at the sky. For the first time, even I can see the stars. His body turned to light, then to dust, then to nothing. Days passed, then nights, then days again. Time moved. Children grew, trees swayed, people laughed and sometimes cried. But now, they lived. Evan still climbed the hill every night, but now the sky answered him, filled with stars, filled with stories, filled with endless change. And as the stars quietly drift across the night, remember, life shines brightest not because it lasts forever, but because it changes. Now close your eyes and have a peaceful sleep under your own sky tonight.